Welcome to the morning after CFFL Week 6 edition on the CFFL Network on YouTube. We've got a very busy show today. Going Deep will not be seen this week. We'll push that back to next week. But we do have our sideline reporter back, Emma, this week with the breaking story that everyone's been waiting for. And a special thanks go out to ESPN 30 for 30 as they're lending us some of their footage they shot for Emma's documentary. But let's get into last week's action and see what happened in Week 6 of the CFFL. Week 6 saw the Cardinals take down the Bruisers. Cardinals moved to 4-2. The Bruisers fall to 4-2, but still have the division lead. Cardinals led by a new addition, Noshan Reno, at 23 points. The Bruisers led by a big game from Mason Crosby of 16. Made almost every one of his field goals, and still enough to have a really good week. The Kongs take down the Garbage Men. The Garbage Men still the second highest scoring team in the league. Kongs win 86-56, led by Vernon Davis's 22 points. Jamal Charles, another steady week for the Garbage Men at 17. The Horn Dogs take down the Bone Storm in the biggest upset of the week. The Bone Storm were favored by 26 points. Horn Dogs, though, take them down 66-52. Peyton Manning had a decent week for most players, a bad week for him, 13 points. Cam Newton and Marshawn Lynch combined for 41 points to lead the Horn Dogs to their win to move to 3-3. Team LBM takes down the Black Dingoes 62-43 to move to 5-1, tied with Team DK's Kongs, lead of the Dan division. Brandon Marshall, Joe Flacco, and Steven Guskowski combined for 45 points to lead the LBM. The Black Dingoes have now lost 4 straight as they've been outscored 284-203 in that stretch. The Sasquatches take down the Donkeys 52-32. No players in double figures for the Kongs. News gets even worse for them, for the Donkeys, And the news gets even worse as Randall Cobb, their number one receiver, is expected to miss about 6 to 8 weeks. Sasquatches did not have a great week, but is still enough for a win. Phil Dawson had 13 points. Our sideline reporter, you can hear, is getting very antsy to debut her story as it's about to happen. Finally, this week, we saw the Gargoyles take down the Badgers 57-44. The Badgers led by Deshaun Jackson's 15 points. Gargoyles moved to 3-3, but not all the news is good as DeMarco Murray and James Jones were injured during the game, and they were not able to finish. Don't know how long their injury will be. Now let's take a look at Player of the Week, those type of things, as my time is running short here until my sideline reporter needs to come back on the set. First of all, Player of the Week was actually a two-pronged Player of the Week. Cam Newton and Noshan Reno both had 23 points. Cam Newton had a big passing week, 4 touchdowns, rushing and receiving, rushing and passing. Noshan, 42 rushing yards, 63 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. He had 23 points. Both had big weeks. Walk of shame this week. No particular person is a little harder to do, but the injured receivers. 4 players this week went down. Julio Jones, James Jones, Randall Cobb, and Jimmy Graham all were injured since last week's show. James Jones and Jimmy Graham are not supposed to be significant injuries, but we'll see until the results are back. Julio Jones out for the year. Cobb is expected, like I said earlier, to miss 6 to 8 weeks. And Yo Bitch, the free agent target of the week, goes to Jarrett Boykin. 1 catch for 43 yards, that's mediocre numbers, but 2 injured players above him on the depth chart means he will see a lot more playing time. And now we'll head into our next segment we like to call Griff's Gripes. Griff's Gripes this week. Griff last week went on, some new nicknames for some players he thought might be good. This week, Griff has another statement about all the pink that we see in NFL games this month of October. I'm all for helping in the fight against breast cancer. Just this last weekend in Madison, I tried to help a young woman check for lumps, but alas, she did not take me up on this offer. So, I like that the NFL's players wear the pink flags, shoes, gloves, etc. But can we limit it to 1 week instead of the entire month of October? The NFL is already emasculating the game by penalizing almost all hits. Why humiliate these gladiators further by making them wear pink for 4 weeks? Good question, Griff. I know a lot of Packer fans are mad about the hit that was on Cobb, but the way they play now and they flag things, you almost have to be going low, otherwise they're going to get fined. As you see, our sideline reporter is here. We only have a few more segments to go, and then you're up. So get ready. This week we saw a trade happen. The Cardinals and Badgers they exchanged impact players. Noshan Reno, who had a huge week this week with 23 points, went to the Cardinals in exchange for Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith had been great this year. Not a good week this week, but he'll bounce back as he has had a tremendous year in terms of receiving yards. Finally, take a look at the big games next week. The Gargoyles take on the Cardinals, 3-3 versus 4-2. Cardinals look to keep their hot streak going, 3 in a row. And the Bruisers take on the Kongs. Bruisers, with their new logo, they tried it out. They had a loss last week, but they still are leading their division. Take on the co-division leaders in the Dan division. DK's Kongs have been lights out this year. Finally, we got your segment up now. We're going to take a look at something big everyone's been talking about. Everybody's been asking questions about it. I've been dropping some hints as to what it is. And now we're going to see what it is. What you've been working on, Emma? Let's take a look. Emma investigates the Maulers saga. Maulers were in the league for 19 years. Rumors of potential vandalism, drunken driving, dirty play on the football field, and throwing in the towel during the season. That's what most people felt was the reason the Maulers are no longer in the league. But Emma asked the question, was there more? Was there more, Emma? You dug deep to find this one. And thanks to ESPN 30 for 30 for helping you put this together. Was there more? Let's find out. You say that the race was what this was all about. The race. But which race, Emma? Which race led to this falling out? So you'll take a look at this. Take a look at all that there is to see. Maybe it was. Bear with us here as we get this ready here. We got to roll the footage of what Emma uncovered. This will actually be seen in its entirety on ESPN Ocho, I believe, somewhere. It's going to be shown, I think, in Belgium at like 3 in the morning. So if you have access to Belgium television, you'll be able to see it on there. Otherwise, just have to take what you can get here from us. But part of this was that you saw someone who wants to keep, anonymity. So we're going to go to that right now. So we'll start rolling the footage.
I was at the race, and I saw some crazy things that day. It was the race of Chris's wedding, arguably the worst day of his life. Really?
Seems unlikely that would have been the worst day of his life. I know he lost the race that day. He slipped. The shoes didn't have any grip, but I don't know if that's true. Well, it was true. It was the worst day of his life, and I can prove it. Ever since that day, he's had it out for Mike. Always trying to get him. In fact, I think he rigged things so he couldn't use his computer, and he couldn't get on there and change his lineup. He was always a hard worker, so I blame him for everything. Nice to know someone at my wedding is out to get me and thinks that I was out to get Michael after that loss. Thanks, Emma, for digging that up. And then, not paying attention to the facts. But you investigated, and I can't argue with your journalistic freedom. So we'll have to go with that. That's what Emma says happened. Again, take a look for that on Belgium television. I heard it's going to start airing in Finland as well. So if you have Finnish television, it should be on there probably sometime in the month of November. So thanks for everyone for tuning in. Have a great week, and I will check out next week's show. Going Deep returns. Thanks. Bye.